I was listening to an interview of John McEnroe the other day. He's a tennis player from decades ago, and he was talking about Serena Williams being the greatest women's tennis player of all time. But when asked how she would rate on the men's circuit, he said she'd probably be about 700 in the world. And, that was shocking to me. But I've learned that's true. But I didn't learn till a very late age. I was 28 years old when the Olympics were here in Los Angeles. That's when I learned that women competed at longer times than men, meaning they didn't run as fast, they didn't swim as fast, they didn't jump as high, and I didn't know that. I knew that golf tees were closer and bike races were shorter for women, but I thought that was more out of chivalry or something, treating them special. Because I was brought up with a lot of strong women in my life. I was brought up in the liberal Hollywood Hills, and with heroes kind of like Angela Davis, who was a political activist for black equality. And, she's a great intellectual and a strong woman, strong-looking woman, and intelligent and attractive. And she's a professor at Berkeley now, and, fought being in prison and won. And, she's brilliant. And Joan Baez, who's a great champion of equal rights for black people in white culture. But the funny thing is I guess women, got the right to vote like 100 years after black men. So it's kind of funny. There's this bigger schism between women and men than there is between black people and white people. And by that I mean brown people and pink people. But I work for a lot of women. Most of my clients are women, and I'm talking CEOs. I work in entertainment a lot, of course, so it's skewed, but CEOs in other industries and women in high positions. And it seems like a great percentage of my clients are women, much more than men. And so I'm just in a different world. But I was thinking your average barbecue, if a racist white male is there and doesn't know the people around him, he might find that he has more in common with the men and even the black men than he does in conversation with women, white women or otherwise. Because, guys typically, you can talk about sports and barbecuing and whatever the light talk that people do who don't know each other well and have a lot to share. Whereas with women, it's, they're on a different wavelength, and that's a wonderful thing. And of course, we tend to make a huge deal out of sexual preference. And so we have to acknowledge there's a big difference. And I like it. I personally think that in the difference between brown and pink people, there are bigger differences in their upbringing, meaning church and neighborhood and everything. There is certainly white privilege, but I think it's the upbringing that makes the biggest distinction. And the same with people of any culture, whether they come from India or China or anywhere. I think it's how you're raised, because it seems that the kids that are raised in the suburban white neighborhoods, even if they're black, like Pharrell Williams or something, they come out with less of a cultural distinction between them if they're raised in the same communities as white people. So, and white people brought up in poor neighborhoods or things, or the South or whatever, tend to be very different than white people that are brought up in the more liberal educated parts of the world. So in any case, I do think there's a huge amount of difference between men and women. I love it, and I appreciate it. I'm glad we have more women leadership in the world, and I appreciate it very much. I think we need a balance, and I think we have to appreciate the fact that we're all kind of, in my genetic upbringing, or my genetics, I'm actually 50% woman, because I came out of a woman. And we all are 50-50. And we have to appreciate all aspects of that. And I'm sure most people listening to this do. But if you have any comments or ideas about this, please write them in the comments below. If you do, I'll be really delighted and probably address them in my next video. Talk to you later.